They did it. They actually did it. This is not a joke, you guys. This is not clickbait. This is the truth. Virtual World just went undefeated at LCS number 8, and congratulations to Gabriel Nets. He won this whole event going 12-0 with Virtual World. I'm out of my freaking mind. I love this deck, and you guys already know, as soon as I saw this, your boy had to make my annual video as to why this deck won, and I have so many amazing things to say about this deck. So let's hop into it. If you guys are new here, consider subscribing, hit that notification bell. You guys will be notified whenever I upload. You'll be notified when I stream over on Twitch. Links are in the description. TCG player link if you're trying to build the deck. Patreon if you want to support the channel. Yada, yada, yada. Don't care. Just so excited to talk about Virtual World. I love this deck to death. This has been my new pet deck that I've been messing with. I didn't even get the chance to upload my profile. That's coming in a couple days. My list is a little bit different, but I'm glad to see I got some of the groundwork correct. But this is not a joke, you guys. There was, I believe, 23 players playing Virtual World, and in the top 16 breakdown, there were 7 in top 16. That's crazy, you guys. That's almost 50% of the player base was literally playing Virtual World. A lot of people slept on this deck. Sleep on this deck no more. I really hoped you picked these cards up when they were cheap, especially Lulu. This deck was dirt freaking cheap. I got this deck for pennies. It was like ridiculous because like this whole deck is nothing but like supers and a couple commons, and then the only expensive card was Lulu. Even Shen was only a couple bucks at the time. I really hope you guys picked up this deck because, man, this deck has so much potential. The ceiling is so high. And clearly, if this deck went undefeated, and we're talking 12-0 against some of the best players in the world, then you know that says a lot. Not only that, if 7 of the top 16 played this deck, there's a reason why it did so well. Gabriel Nets is no stranger to any success in the LCSs or in any of the events. He pretty much tops every single one, and this time he took it down, won the whole thing. It's crazy. Congratulations to him. I'll have a link down below to the Decideful's YouTube channel. I'm sure the live deck profile or the more in-depth deck profile will be there, but as always, we're going to talk about why this deck won the LCS. We're going to go over the list, talk about things. I have a couple things to say since I do play this deck myself, and we're going to hop into it. So let's get into it. So, of course, he is running Gamma in this deck, so you have to run the driver. One thing to say about Gamma is that Gamma is insane in this deck for multiple reasons. Number one, all your Virtual Worlds activate in hand, so you don't have a monster on board. If they ash it or use anything, you're able to chain Gamma and already get plays going. Not only that, you're able to recycle your driver or any of your pieces thanks to Nyan Nyan's effect. So it's pretty crazy. Whenever this card's banished, you add back a banished card to your deck. So it's pretty crazy. Triple copies of Lily. This is your Foolish Burial for those of you that don't know. All Virtual Worlds are summoned by targeting a Virtual World card and sending the opposite card. So if you target a trap, you can send a spell or monster. Lily is a second Foolish Burial, so then you can send the third type of card. So basically, if you set up the trap, you're sending a spell and monster. If you set up a spell, you're sending a trap and a monster. If you set up a monster, you're sending a trap and a spell. So I hope that makes sense. It's just a double Foolish Burial. 3 copies of Lao Lao. This is your Monster Reborn. It literally lets you revive a Virtual World card. You're always Foolish Barreling a card, and then you can just reborn a card that isn't the monster you sent. 3 copies of Lulu. This is your Stratos of the deck. It's also a tuner. Same thing with Lao Lao. Lulu and Lao Lao are both tuners. Very important. Pretty crazy. And then 3 copies of Nyan Nyan. A lot of people don't like this card. Some people have cut it to 2. I'm glad he maxed out on 3. This card is actually very important. There are actually combos you can do even when you hard draw the Nyan Nyan, because if you notice, the only real normal summons in this deck will come from summoning this or summoning Lulu or summoning Gigi just as your normal summon. Even though you don't really want to do that, you do have the option to do that, to put a virtual card online so that you are able to target and activate your Virtual World effects. And then the last one is Gigi. This is basically the Skarm of the deck. For those of you who are BA players, at the end phase it'll add one of the Virtual World cards from your deck to your hand, so if it stays on the board. So there's that option. If you notice, they're all level 3 and level 6. So you're going to be seeing some rank 3, rank 6, synchros for 9, synchros for 6. There's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on in this deck. And then the last hand trap is, of course, Triple Ash Blossom. This card is actually very good in this deck, where Ash has fell out of favor in a lot of decks. You get double mileage in this deck, not only because it's the most generic hand trap, but also the fact that it's a level 3 tuner does come up in some weird situations with different hands. So very, very strong. That's it for the monsters. For the spells, triple copies of Kowloon, the Virtual World City. This card is awesome. This card gets your trap on board, gets the Chooch on board. Literally, you activate this, and then you can activate Quilong or Chooch from your deck, and then that puts a Virtual World card on the board. There's also other effects. I don't really know how much they come up. In all my testing, they didn't really come up that much, but this card has multiple effects based on the virtual cards you control, so you can get multiple effects with it, so it's very cool. He also main deck 3 copies of Triple Tactic Talents. This was something I hadn't messed with yet, but now clearly I can see it works very well in this deck. Card's just great. Obviously, you can just combat against things like Dragoon, combat against any negation, and either draw cards, take another card out of your opponent's hand, or you can draw 2 cards, which is just amazing. And then, of course, 3 copies of Desires. This deck plays Desires the best. It's not even close. You're literally maxed out on everything. It's rare you'll banish 3 of anything, so Desires is an absolute staple. He's playing Upstart for 39 cards. Teleport, because Teleport has 6 targets in here. Actually, more targets, and that has 9 targets. So you can summon either Lulu, Nyan Nyan, or even Gamma to continue your play. So cards are very strong. If they bring it to 2, I mean, I don't know, the deck will be crazy. And then triple copies of Quilong. This card is great. It has a very cool on-board effect that I don't know a lot of people pay attention to. You banish a virtual card from your graveyard and you target a monster on the board and negate its effects until the end of the turn, even if this card does leave the field. So that is very important to remember. You can negate a card, and then if this does get destroyed, it's still negated. But its more important effect is you banish it to search a virtual world card and then discard a card from your hand. So it's very, very strong. And then triple copies of the Trap. Chooch with this card is amazing. This card is basically kind of like a Raigeki break. I don't really know how to break it down, but literally you shuffle back 2 banished virtual world cards and you banish a lot of these cards, and you can literally pop a face-up card. So card's very, very strong. I like it a lot. I'm glad he maxed out. And then his tech was the skill drain. I didn't even think of this. This card's broken in here because literally all your stuff can activate in grave, and like once you establish your monsters, you're like good to go. So it's pretty crazy. I think it's a very sweet tech to have in here. I'm sure that if he hard juice skill drain and like literally just summon a bunch of big monsters, the opponent's gonna have a very hard time playing. So skill drain, it's insane. But that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, for the level 9 synchros, we got the 1 copy of Shinshen. This is your Macrocosmos. Card's great. 1 Vermilion Mech. This can just pop a card, can add back tuners. You've got your Croco Dragon. This is just to draw cards. Can also pop cards by discarding 2. So very cool. Cloud Castle, you loop your level 9s, and that's how you make VFD. Everyone looks at this deck as VFD Turbo, and while that is true, there's a lot of other things this deck can do, but Cloud Castle really does contribute to the VFD Turbo of the deck, so I really do like this. We've got the 1 copy of Juju. So Juju is the level 6 virtual world monster. What's cool is it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects while it has you have 2 or more monsters in your graveyard with the same original type and attribute and different names. So basically if you have 2 different virtual worlds, different attribute, different names, you're good to go. You banish 2 monsters from your graveyard, and then you can target 1 card on the field, send it to the graveyard. So that's pretty cool. So this just gives you another virtual world card to play in the deck, as well as your Coral Dragon. This is your tuner. This is your level 6 tuner. When it goes to the grave, it helps you draw cards. And then you also play Stardust Charge Warrior, because when you summon it, it draws a card. So basically you're helping to get through your deck. You have these 2 6s, and it can help you just draw more cards and just get more advantage. The 1 copy is Zeus, because you do make this in the deck. It does come up and you literally can just kill your opponent with it. Like literally, like you can just attack, deal damage, and then you literally just make this in main phase 2 or like whatever, and they're literally just stuck under Zeus and they lose. Probably the main win con of the deck, 2 copies of True King of All Calamities. This card is broken. What can I say? This deck shoots it out like it's nobody's business. If you guys saw my post on Twitter yesterday, people ask you what's your worst board with Virtual World, VFD. What can I say? Card's crazy. The 1 Gaia Charger, this does come up just to pierce for damage. You pierce for damage, do any kind of damage, and you put Zeus on top of this. This is interesting. He's playing the Utopia Beyond, so I saw some lists that have played this. This card is very strong. When it's summoned, all monsters your opponent control becomes 0. Very, very strong. And you're able to literally just like punch over everything with that. This card is amazing. We played it a long time ago in certain decks, but it's crazy even now. So I really like that he's playing Utopia Beyond. The M7 goes with it. You can spin another card. Break Sword, you can break a card. The card's really good as well. Since you have all your level 3s, this is probably one of the best like rank 3s you can play. And then the last card is the Virtual World, the Jaja. So basically what this card does is you detach a material from it. Target phase-up monster you control. It cannot be destroyed by battle to the end of your opponent's turn. And then once per turn after damage calculation, if this card battle an opponent's monster, while you have 2 more monsters in your graveyard with the same original type and attributes to each other, you can banish that opponent's monster. So basically it can just help you out problematic cards. And last but not least, the side deck, very simple. Triple Nibiru, the 1 Prank, 3 copies of Token Collector, 3 copies of No Material. Very interesting. I think a lot of people forget about this card. This card can basically end your turn if you can't go any further with your plays because of No Material. You pass and this deck can kill you. And then for the back row removal and stuff, he's got the Duster, the 2 Twins, the Imperial, and the Red Reboot. So I'm so excited. What can I say? Why did this deck won? This deck won because no one respected it enough. No one knew what Virtual World did. This deck is crazy. Like, literally, the ceiling is so high for this deck. Now, while everyone thinks this deck is VFD Turbo, and I've already mentioned that it is, man, this deck can do so many crazy things. Like, it's interesting he's not playing the Tzolk'in and Crystal Wing package, which is another really popular option you can play in this deck. But his techs, like Skill Drain, playing triple talents in the main deck, those are the reasons why this deck won. Not only that, he's a very accomplished player. He knows exactly what he's doing. And I'm telling you right now, the main reason why this deck won is not enough people were prepared for it and they didn't respect it enough. And now, you know what? Virtual World is meta. It may be the best deck currently right now. People will argue, obviously, but the results do not lie. Undefeated, you guys. 12-0 with Virtual World. I don't know what else to say. This deck won because it's extremely well built. It's very strong. It's got a very high ceiling. It can do so many crazy plays. And yes, it freaking won because of VFD, but you know what? I don't care. VFD is broken in this deck. They don't want to ban the card or do anything about it. Then, you know, it is what it is. But congratulations to you, Gabriel Nets. Shout out to the Disciples. Shout out to the whole LCS, Hani, and all the guys from Luxury. You guys put on another amazing tournament. And we got a new champion. We got a new top deck right now. And it's super exciting to talk about. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this video. Smash that like button if you did. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below as to why Virtual World won. I'm just super excited. I don't know what else to say. This is just what a day. Like, literally what a day, because I love Virtual World. So again, shout out to everyone you know, that supports Virtual World, and keep an eye on this deck. Hopefully you guys pick that deck up, because man, this is gonna be one hell of a deck going forward. But that's all I gotta say, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.